This was sent to not CornyDrive. This was sent on Twitter using the hashtag CornyDriveThru from John Wilson. If FTR versus the Young Bucks isn't a no DQ match, with the Bucks never challenging again if they lose, why don't they wait for the bell to ring until he hits one of FTR with the title belt? Winners by DQ, FTR. He's got a good point.
See, a good mind can find a loophole in any situation. The whole thing is goofy. This has been the worst build to a supposedly long-awaited tag team match in ages, if not ever, that I've ever seen. Would you say, Brian, that people are probably less interested in seeing this match now than they were when the FTR showed up the first day at AEW's door? Because of the way that they've bungled it and not given us anybody to cheer for or root against, because we don't know whose side we're supposed to be on. And nothing has really happened to in any way seriously heat the issue up, except they think that somehow fighting over who the fans say is the best tag team in wrestling instead of the championship is the focal point of the whole thing. Do you give a shit about this match now, honestly? Especially now that they've gimmicked it up with this last-minute stipulation where you know they're going to pull something that's going to be kind of shady?
I think they've completely screwed this up. A year ago, 2 years ago, this was the one match everyone wanted to see. They brought FTR in and had them save the Young Bucks, which has never truly been explained. This whole build-up, and then the Young Bucks suddenly become heels, and Tony Schiavone, I can't think of another time in 35 years he took a bump.
Never.
And then a week later he forgave him.
Wasted it on a pre-tape.
just the whole build-up and the Young Bucks really bad acting.
You know what? Tony was always jealous about David Crockett taking that Russian sickle from Nikita Koloff. That's what he waited all this time to get revenge. Now David Crockett got Russian sickled by Nikita Koloff, but Tony Schiavone one-upped him. He got super kicked by the Young Bucks in a pre-tape.
The best was, who was it that they super kicked where it was Matt Jackson and the leg of the alleged other Buck, but we never saw him.
A disembodied foot. It was Bart Brady. That was Officer Bart Brady.
That's right. That's right. No, this has been one of the worst booked dream matches maybe ever. The match may end up being good. I think they're wasted. Just the build up and doing the match now with no fans there or very limited fans there. They have handled this so poorly. The tag team division has been a disaster. The integration of FTR into the tag team division couldn't have been handled worse. It couldn't have been handled worse. And this dream match doesn't seem as important to me now as it did 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago.
Now it's like, get it over with already. We know you're going to screw it up, so just get it over with.
We know you've been waiting a year to get the tag belts on the Young Bucks and the heavyweight title on Omega. Just do it already.
But that's ass backwards even anyway. The Young Bucks should have won the belts at the start. And they claim, and once again, maybe they're smart and they know that they were being selfish and doing all this for themselves while trying to tell everyone that they were being charitable and putting everybody else over and elevating everybody else. They hadn't got one person over. They did a couple of jobs. They hadn't got one person over. But they should have been the champions all along. And then FTR could have come in and beaten them for it, and it would have meant something. Instead, they dick around with this stupid saga with Paige and Olivier, and then finally put the belts on a real tag team, and now apparently, either the Young Bucks are going to beat FTR for the belts, or they're going to do the thing that Cody did, which was lose a match where they can't challenge for something, so they never have to do another job, and then create their own fucking title. But it's as you said, the whole thing has been ass backwards. We don't know who the heel is. We don't know who the babyface is. We're less interested than we were when it was just a concept. Now that we're actually going to see the match, nobody really gives a shit except for the people who eat that pablum on a weekly basis. And FTR they become two of the boys. Instead of being the outsiders and the people who were going to call shots when they came in and that you could believe in and that was going to stir that fucking fan base up that were sucking at the teetle of the Bucks and Olivier and all the rest of the play wrestlers. Here these guys are going to come in and they're going to tell everybody what pieces of shit they are, and they're going to lay waste to everybody, and they're going to have a ton of heat. They're more polite than the baby faces. It's insane.
I think even the most hardcore AEW fans have admitted that everything in the past several weeks, at a minimum, with the Young Bucks has been bizarre and bad acting, and the build-up to this has been atrocious. Again, it's a dream match that doesn't feel like that anymore. They blew it. I think the AEW fans realize it too.
Well, there'll still be a bunch that won't admit it. They just won't. But you can't. There's plenty of blame to go around. But okay, you can say, well, Tony Khan's an inexperienced booker. And yes, he has to take the blame for a lot of this stuff. And you can see that he's made a lot of these matchups, and then the guys have to go in and try to figure out a way to make it palatable. But especially with these guys, his executive vice presidents, that he is getting heavy input, if not finished product for this crap, from the talent themselves. I say talent in quotation marks. Which means that they don't have the first clue what they're doing either, because they've never worked in a major company at a high level where the business was allegedly depending on them and where they had to get over in front of more discriminating and a larger number of people than the goofballs who go and watch goofy gymnastic kids playing indie wrestling, and they can't handle it. And I don't know whether they realize they can't handle it or not, because they are they love the smell of their own farts. It's not smog in Southern California. It's smug. But they might even have to. Well, thank you. You don't watch South Park, or you wouldn't be so tickled. You'd think I was stealing it. It's not original. But anyway, they don't know, and I just don't know whether they don't know that they don't know. But I don't know whether they don't know whether they know what they're doing. Does that make sense? They don't know what they're doing. But the question is whether they know that they don't know what they're doing.
Oh, no, I think they've convinced themselves they know exactly what they're doing.
So we should issue a smug alert.
To Rancho Cucamonga? Is that where they're from?
Yeah, it's easy to get there. Just take a left turn at Albuquerque. Oh, God, even their hometown comes out of a Warner Brothers cartoon. Anaheim, Azusa, and Cucamonga.